Hi, here's the lecture on Chapter 5. Probably not going to get through it all, but a lot of it is just basic terms and definitions about this world we live in with e-commerce and the systems behind what makes e-commerce a viable tool for us today. So what is e-commerce? Basically what it is conducting business electronically over computer networks. And we've spent the last couple of weeks talking about computer networks and what it all takes into place. And it definitely gets rid of paper-based, time-consuming. How many of us like standing in lines at the grocery store or in the mall? So it kind of takes away some of that inconvenience and having things delivered to our house. So there's several different aspects of this, and one of them is B2B, business-to-business e-commerce. That's tools that help people in businesses talk and share information between organizations. Now there's business to consumer, and basically it is probably what we do more often than not is we're taking what do the businesses have to offer us. Amazon, Google, all have product that we want that we can get online. And then you got the commerce to consumer to consumer, eBay, Craigslist, Etsy, several out there that say, hey, I've got product and I want to go directly to the consumers and have websites and computer systems put in place. So let me go directly to consumers. Different types and differences between them. Take a look at that chart. Now, e-government is a term I had never really heard before, but we all know the federal government is trying to, or all governments are trying to go online to make things easier to share information, to get rid of some of their online processes. And now, whether it improves relationship depends on what your problem is, I guess. But it definitely is allowing government to take benefits of the electronic age that we're in. Mobile commerce. Basically, all it is what? I'm doing business on my phone. So how many times have you checked Amazon on your phone for products? So it's a way of now utilizing your phone to handle a lot of that e-commerce business. Advantages, hey, I can get new customers, I can reduce the cost of doing business, I can speed information and goods. Challenges, privacy, lack of trust. I think we may be getting close to being the end of lack of trust. Is that a lot of us do enough business online that we're trusting online banking things. So it's that one's probably becoming less, but I think it's still security is probably the biggest issue. Now, from a seller standpoint, time and distance, because now your business never shuts down. So whether you want to be working at midnight, you can set your hours, but your customers are all over the world 24/7. It may be difficult to make sure you can handle the challenges of that, having an online business. Different areas that this comes into play: retail, manufacturing, advertising, retargeting, couponing, banking, all of the areas, pretty much everything that affects our life is going to e-commerce, mobile commerce applications. From a manufacturing standpoint, forum for manufacturers to meet with suppliers and things like that. Build consortiums, helping buyers and sellers in the market. Marketing. I mean, just unbelievable how much marketing is done online. Same thing with advertising. How many ads, how many pop-ups do you get? They're checking how many costs, how many clicks, how many costs per click, how much, what takes place of, how long you on a web page. All of that stuff says, how do I want to manufacture to make sure I can sell my product? The bartering sites, Craigslist, Swap, there's several of them out there, but it basically is, how do I start sharing information person to person to offset that? Now, retargeting is kind of an interesting figure. If you look at that statistics, average of 74% of online shopping carts are abandoned. So how many times have you said, yeah, I'm ready to go, I'll put it in a cart, and walk away and never go back to it? So it's trying to have the advertisers thinking, okay, now how do I recapture you to give them back to purchase that item. So you were interested at one time. So this is a big aspect for some business today. How many of us use online price comparisons? Yeah, there's probably several tools out. Groupon, Coupon, just huge business. You ever do any banking, online, internet? We all do. Online banking, investments. Now, to have that e-commerce, there's definitely an infrastructure required behind it. I'm not going to go with all the details, but you're going to need high-speed networking. You're going to have hardware to support it. You got operating systems, server software, e-commerce software, high-speed networking to get out to the internet. So there's a lot behind the scene that we've covered in the first 4 chapters that all come into play to make this business actually work. So keep in mind, you got servers. That means, what am I doing? I'm having to store the capacity. Computing power depends on the software I'm running and what kind of transactions and how I'm going to, execute those transactions plays a key factor in what hardware I'm going to choose. What's my response time? How fast are my transactions going to take? How long do I want the system to be up? All of these are important things when you're choosing your hardware. Here's an example of some performance measurements that some popular websites, they want response time because we're pretty boring. We get lazy. We want very fast response time. So something you got to keep in mind when you look at your hardware. Your server software, I want to look at what are my security. I'll be able to send and retrieve packages. Am I going to allow email? How much tracking development, page development I want to do. So the software you choose is important that you're going to run on. Some of the core tasks that must be supported in the software is how you're going to manage your catalog, your product configurations, your shopping cart facility, what you're allowing each person to do in that shopping cart. How are you going to process? Is it going to be batched? Is it going to be automatic? Am I going to capture traffic to and from the site? So things you need to consider when you're doing that. Now, granted, from a mobile standpoint, there's other limitations. The screen size changes size, and you get a lot of your websites are handled for mobile and for the PC. So they'll give you different formatting options. So, because you got less buttons, less power. So you just got to make sure you rewrite or modify the system so that you can handle both mobile and PC. Payment. We all want to make sure we get paid if we're selling something online. Now, the big key is making sure you know who you say you are. There's several technologies out there to make this happen, and you can purchase or get a digital certificate. But sometimes you say, I don't want to manage that myself. I want to make sure that I've got somebody else that does this. And you can get a certificate authority, a CA. And it's basically a third-party company that you will pay, and they will deal with all your certificates to make sure that people are what they say they are, and especially when it comes to electronic payment. Now, we all know that we've all been asked, different ways, give me the 3-digit code in the back of the credit card. Do you want me to, let me send you an email or a text message to help me verify you are who you are, what you say you are. So different ways of doing it. Now there's a communications protocol, transport layer security, TLS, that is used to handle this e-commerce, this traffic. So it's used a lot, especially if you're doing a lot of online banking, payment stuff. So just keep an eye. Now, what kind of processing systems are there? There's several. I mean, you can do one for, capturing process data as far as the records that are being transplanted. You can make sure inventory, payroll, accounts payable. But we got to make sure you got input to, as you're gathering this information on these transactions, I got to make sure I can feed them back into management systems, decision systems, knowledge management systems. So it's just a way to do it. Now, the question is how am I going to do my transactions? Do I want to batch them all together? Or do I want to take them all, bundle them all, put them up in a queue, and kind of wait till the end of the day and process them? Or do I want to make sure that they instantaneous transactions? Most of us are shopping and stuff. The last thing we want to do is wait to see if our transaction, our credit card transaction goes through. But as far as a business, you've got to make that choice as to which way you want to go. Now, we expect our transition systems to do a whole lot of stuff, and I'm not going to go through each one, but we do have a lot of expectation because the transaction is where we're making our money. So we got to keep in mind it handles the order processing, accounting, purchasing systems, and it kind of gives you a rough idea what that process is in transaction. I got to collect it. I got to clean it up, edit it. I got to correct it if there's mistakes. I've got to be able to manipulate it based on whatever transaction I'm doing. I got to store it for historical purposes, and I got to make sure if there's any billing or records that got to be documented. So all of these things your transaction processing system has to take care of. Data collection, pretty much what you think it is. Editing, I'm just checking the data for validity. I got to make sure it's clean. If I've made a mistake, I got to correct it. Then I got to make sure I've classified it. Now I got to say, now based on what I want the data to do, I want to perform calculations on it, store it in a database, deduct inventory, whatever the case may be. I got to make sure that I've processed it and then store it away. Now here I got to say, hey, I've got to retrieve data, process it, store it back. I got to keep that data around up until I'm been told to destroy it. Now, document production, it's just basically what it says it does. I've got to generate outputs, whether it's on a screen and say print the screen to your local computer, or I'm sending you an invoice or a receipt. I've got to maintain those kind of records. Now, enterprise systems is kind of like a central grouping of systems that allow all different sizes. It does production and supply. It's just a larger system, larger corporations. So I'm doing production, sales and marketing, human resources, manufacturing, accounting. It's used in every single aspect. It is a big business. So resource planning, where is my production and supply? Where are my customer relationship? How am I dealing with the finances piece of it? So ERP systems have been around, and larger systems probably where there's now benefits. I get access to quality data. I get rid of some of the old paper systems, improve work processes. Opportunity to kind of change as technology changes. And ERP is, they're kind of classified in a couple of different systems, and basically you can tell what are they. They're based on how big the business is. Is it excess of $1 billion, 100 million? So your tier one vendors, SAP is probably a very large ERP system that allows vendors to handle a lot of different aspects. So here's Microsoft Dynamics, one of their leading systems. But just keep in mind, leading ERPs, many large companies have them. You got some small cloud-based ones. So if you're going to work for a larger company, you probably will have some aspect or interface to an ERP system. Now, there's another system out there called Customer Relation Management, a CRM. And basically, that is where I can keep track of the contacts you're making with your customers. Every phone call, every email, so anytime I have an opportunity to talk to a customer, I want to know what it is. So it's easy to make change modifications, sales, and so on. Different features. Due to mobile systems, some of your different systems are accessible via your cell phone. Sometimes you get a product life management system, product life cycle management. So just how do I keep track of my product development? Just your rough idea what a product life from creation to dying. Some of the tools that can be used, AutoCAD, and I think I'm running out of time. So